That's like filmmaking in a nutshell. Like, I thought you just put the camera on and you're good. Like, me with everything. You just press record, like, with all of it.
That was the thing that pissed me off about getting into videography is when people question the price and stuff, like, why do you cost so much? You literally just sit there, like, I can do what you do on a phone. I'm like,
Can you?
First of all, fuck you. Second of all, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, absolutely. You can't do what I do. Like, unless you know temperature, unless you know the exposure triangle, unless you know, like, you can get slow-mo on your phone, but you don't know what shutter speed it's going and you don't know how to slow it down in post and stuff. Like, there is a skill to what we do.
A lot of it's creative eye too. Like, there's people that get it and people that don't. Like, and I will claim to be one of the people that doesn't, because I've worked with enough people that they look at a room and they know how to light it. Like, even the lighting workshop, like just sitting there and hearing all these things that I was like, I couldn't do that. Like, I could not do that. And that's why Jason's so, reputable in the industry.
I mean, we wouldn't spend that much time doing it. I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
Because we had 9 or 10 lights in that workshop for like each scene separately.
I know.
And people just don't take the time to even think about that stuff.
Well, and it's like, you could use practical effect. You could go film somewhere that has all of those things, but you don't have the control. It's like having the capacity to control how warm that light is or how much intensity. Like, that was the one thing that really stuck out to me when we were doing that, was when he would say, like, bring that down. And I'm like, there was no difference there. Also, I don't have great eyes. So I'm just like, that didn't change anything. And then you see the footage back and you're like, oh, now it feels romantic, which could lighting really make something feel that different? Yeah. But you don't know that when you start filmmaking, which, like, the only reason I know some of that is because my day job is wedding videography.
Which I just learned I didn't know that.
That I'm a wedding videographer?
Yeah, I had no idea that you do anything behind the camera.
I tried to, so getting into acting, like, one of my fears was that social media and Instagram is like such a hard game to play, because I didn't want to niche myself into anything, but I also was like, I don't want people to just backburner me because, oh, is she a videographer? Is she an actor? So I was like, okay, I'm going to just transition fully over to acting when I'm ready for it. So, like, when I started acting, I was kind of just like behind the scenes, training, like education and everything. And then when I was starting to get on set, I was like, okay, I'm ready to post about this now. And then after that, like, videography just became like no one needs to know I do that. Like, and honestly too, I have been like battling the internal demons of like, do I make a separate videography page? Like,
no, I have like 6 pages because I have one for photography, one for videography, one for acting.
How's that going for you?
That's okay, but
that's the thing, because I've done it too. I've done all those things, and I just, like, my page, people get mad at me because it's a business page, but it's so personal.
Yeah.
Like, you need to stop being personal on your page. I'm like, that's why people follow me. Is all everything that I do.
Yeah. I mean, I get overwhelmed if I meet somebody in a specific setting and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to connect with you. What's your Instagram page or what's your social media? They're like, well, you can follow this one or this one. And, and I end up following 3 accounts, which are all posting the same content, which no hate, no shade. But at the same time, it does seem like beneficial to just have one. However, if you're trying to showcase a portfolio, that's where it bites you in the butt. Yeah.
And that's where my knowledge of it came in, is because it's like, there's a specialization aspect to it. So.
I agree. And that's why I battle these internal demons. It's because I'm like, do I do it? And because my page started as a videography page, if you go back far enough, you can see that it's wedding videography.
Yeah.
It seems counterproductive for me to open up another page and try to transition all that over. However, I didn't have a game plan when I started posting all my acting content, which I barely posted any acting content, but I'm just trying to be curated with it, which again, another beast, like we're all just sitting here stressed out. Like, can I just post? Like, can I just post what I'm doing and be okay with it? And then I'm like, but I do think there could be benefits of both. I just wish, and Instagram, hear me out, Instagram had tabs. I wish you could have one account, one page, and instead of like going to see the tagged photos or the reels, it could be like videography, like website link, but just the tab underneath. Like, I want to see your portfolio. I want to see I coined it here first. I just want to say.
My version of doing that is linking your
pages
in there. And that's
way too much time.
Well, and I think
I don't have time like that.
As much as I hate it, and I think everybody hates it, likes and follows are currency, like a little bit to some extent. And so having 3 or 4 pages, if someone doesn't want to go follow all 4 pages, then you're only connecting on these one, like in this one avenue, which I don't have any experience in social media other than like consumer, like personal experience. That's just how I interpret it.
Making me rethink my whole decision.
Well, honestly, that's what I was telling you. I was just talking to him about this because he wanted, like, we're making another podcast right now, and he's like, "Should I make another Instagram?" And I was like, "Can we not?" Just because
I do see the benefit in both, though.
I do. I've tried it. I've done it, and like you don't post on all of them, you know? So you just leave one to be ghosted, and then you, like, a year later you post once, and then you never do anything again. For me, it's like, if I lose my page, I'm not going to go back on Instagram. Like, I have so many amazing people that follow me, to then get them to follow my new page. No one's going to come over.
Well, and it's also just, they might not see it. They might not know. They might, you know, and that's another thing too. But I've also seen a trend in, like, accounts where as soon as somebody starts to grow in whatever niche it is, they're growing. And then it just kind of transforms into like an influencer page, and it becomes, now that's their personal brand. And while I don't like want to hate on that, because I don't think that's like a bad thing, you're utilizing your resources, you know, like shifting towards a personal brand, it does kind of become like, okay, if my goal is to have people like see me in this capacity and kind of gain traction there, I don't want to like separate that and open up another door and then try to grow in this one as well. And now it's like, and maybe that's just me stressing myself out, because I do that.
That's what I've been thinking about for the last like decade of my life. And technically I am like an influencer in a way. But I made it so that like my brand is my like freakouts online, and my Jeep, and my traveling, and my cinematography, and my workshops, and
your brand is you.
My brand is me. And so you being an actor,
I'm me, bro. Let me be me.
Like, there's no reason for you to not do both.
Right.
That's what I learned from the tattoo artist that I had on, because she has like 50,000 followers, and I was kind of asking about the growth, and it's that personal aspect, brand, not just like, people don't want to be advertised to. People don't want that. They want a person to follow. They want a personality to follow, which is why like that does work. But at the same time, like I get nervous about like, if I'm talking to someone specifically about videography, they want to see my work. Okay, I'll do this, and they don't have to like scroll super far to see all my work. I give them the page, they can go and see all my work. Or if I tell them I'm a photographer, okay, cool, look at this page, and you can just see everything right then and there.
I mean, I think with that, you just have to like do like a personal post, a photography one, a videography one.
I just feel like the heart, like as a consumer, I don't know why it's so hard for us to fathom that people can wear multiple hats and excel in all of those industries or whatever it is. But it is hard for people to be like, oh, I just saw you post about photography, so that is where you're shifting and going now. And it's like, no, that's like a side thing. And they're like, oh, so your little photography side business. And then, oh, how's like your little acting stint going? And I'm like, but they all come together.
They'll follow you for a year. And they'll be like, oh,
they will pick up on it. And like, I should give people more grace. I think I just adopt this mindset that like, no, they can't handle that. Like, because I do have currently like a page that is ready to go if I wanted to for my videography business. Side note though, like part of the reason why I haven't felt necessarily pressured to do it is because over the last 5 years, I've been an associate shooter with a company. So I'm subcontracted. I don't have to worry about marketing. If it was like my livelihood and I was like, which it is, but if I had to market for it more so than I am now, I would definitely feel that pull to like, I either need to be posting more videography content or make a separate page. But because I don't have to generate my own leads, because I'm an associate, which I still take on my own clients, but it makes it easier to kind of navigate that, and also let me use my social media blade to like promote my acting and set things and where I want to go with that eventually. So
with being a videographer, being an actor, doing all of that, where does psychology for you fit in? Okay, I'm so glad you asked, Alex. So, okay. Well, for starters, I guess I'll give a little bit of background into why I am, because I'm currently majoring in behavioral health sciences. I'm getting my bachelor's.
when I started acting, I had this like, I don't know what you want to call it, like an epitome moment, like a sort of paradigm shift. I went to an improv class, and this is so embarrassing to talk about, but like basically it was my first improv class. I don't think I was auditing it. I think I was like signed up for it, but I knew a lot of the people in the class because we were doing like scene study together on a different night. And so I went into improv and I was just like, dude, full send. Like I've never done improv, but how hard could it be? And just made an absolute idiot of myself on stage. Like, because oftentimes when you're on set, a director will say like, great, give me more. Like, come up, come up, come up. So I'm like, yeah, start there so that they don't have to say anything. And I was like yelling at this girl on stage, one of my dear friends. I love her, but I was like, screaming in her face. And my improv instructor was like, give her space. Like, you need to calm down. And I don't know why that like rewired my brain, but I was just like, oh, I'm a terrible actor. Like, oh, okay, this is not for me. Like, it was that one moment of like pure, I sent it and it was a straight fail, which is such a small story about it. But I went home that night, and this was also in the midst of a lot of personal life trauma for me. But I just was like, okay, you can either like get back up on the horse or you're done. And so I just was like, I don't even know, but it's like one of those montages where like your life's flashing before your eyes and like the scene is swirling around your head. And I'm just like writing down, like, how am I feeling? Like, what is it that I want? What's the meaning of life? Like all of these things. And I kind of landed on this whole concept of like my own acting technique that I didn't know at the time that's what it was. But it was starting from, what is blocking me? Like, why do I feel like I'm a bad actor? Well, this, and this. And then I started listing, okay, well, what are my strengths? Why do I think that I am built for this, or that this is something that I could do? And then from there, I went to, how am I going to cope with this? Like, what is my coping mechanism? And then like, what does resolution look like? And that was kind of the building blocks for me being like, oh, this is how I want to approach my roadblocks. Or like if I'm stuck in a character or a scene. And that was very, very much built off of the acting technique, great people, I don't know what to call them, you know, the Stanislavski, Strasberg, Meisner, Adler. And then I was like, from there going, okay, well, what are all of their approaches and what's the common denominator? And the common denominator between all of them is like, essentially, it's just you as an actor. It's, what do you bring to the table? So my own philosophy is to excel in acting or in sort of any creative art, even like a personal brand. You have to understand the craft. You have to understand the business. You have to know how to market yourself and network. And then you have to understand yourself. You have to know that. So then from there, I was like, okay, I want to understand all these like psychological components of acting. What is it that like, why is it that doing this sort of exercise leads to this? Or like, what is all of this stuff going on psychologically? I could not find any resources. Like, it was really, really hard to find a middle ground of the psychology behind it, which a lot of it, it's not that it's not there. It's just called something else. Right. Like Strasberg, that's literally like role playing. That's like, or maybe that's Adler, whichever one. Meisner is like being present. It's mindfulness, you know?
Yeah.
There's a different term in the behavioral health world and the psychological world. But if you're trying to figure out more like digestibly what's going on, there's just not a lot of resources for that. So I was like, then I'll make it. So I kind of want to create my own acting technique in that sense. But more than anything, I want to create my own acting-based therapy program. And within doing that, there's two real things that I feel like I have to do. And that's gain credentials in the acting realm and gain credentials in the behavioral health realm. So while I don't have like a whole plan set out, I'm hoping that eventually I can show people like, hey, I'm worth what I say with acting. Because you want to learn from somebody that you respect. You want to learn from people that you're like, oh, you're so great at acting, but like, how many roles have you had? You know, which you don't want to be a hater, but at the same time, it is something that does affect it. And the same thing with, I'm not going to go take therapy from somebody who doesn't have a licensure, who doesn't have certifications and experience in it. And so I am kind of wearing both of those hats at the same time, but it's because they are one and the same. Like, acting is therapy. And I can attest to that with my own personal life. Like it perfectly overlapped with a huge shift in my life. And that was going through a divorce and co-parenting. And that spanned 1.5 years. Like that wasn't, just a couple month thing. That was my entire world was flipped upside down. And now how am I going to work through this? And acting was like a huge coping mechanism and conduit for self-awareness, personal growth.
What role did exactly that acting play? Like, how was it therapeutic? Was it being able to express those certain emotions? Or?
Absolutely. I think a lot of what it was for me was, it's kind of like microdosing embarrassment and failure. Like you go on stage and you make a complete fool of yourself.
Yeah.
You take on a character and you get so much critique and criticism. You start etching away at that like concern for what people think about you, what people are saying about you. It's just a really great tool for fostering resiliency, I think.
Yes.
And I also think too, it really dives into relationship dynamics, human behavior, understanding people. It's like, and this is my own personal belief, but how do you teach somebody empathy? You kind of can't, but you can get pretty dang close with putting them in someone else's shoes. Hey, here's a character. Go figure out why they're acting the way that they are. Go figure out how they would respond to this person based on their life circumstances or this extenuating circumstances in the situation they're faced with. And so a lot of what it did for me was just, it gave me a supportive community. That was a huge thing. I was really, really carried by the people from my acting studio. We became like a family. And they all knew everything that was going on. And so they were constantly reaching out and everything. But it also gave me, that sort of free to express, you can go on stage and scream, like you can go feel your feelings and it's okay. And then it also was just like understanding this is a reaction, or this is why they're doing what they're doing, or, hey, people are going to talk regardless. Like, don't care. So
there's a couple, like through different classes that I've taken, there's a couple of techniques even in the classes that I've seen can act as that therapy. Like there's one class that I took that we have to go through the 5 dominant emotions and talk about them, but not just talk about them, go and feel them. So I feel happy when, I feel sad when, I feel angry when. And the whole purpose of it, like I said, it's not to list them out. It's to really go and feel it. And so I feel like that kind of helps to identify what causes those emotions in you, for one. And then also, like when you're doing improv, when you're doing line reading, you have to be present and listen. You can't just like go based off the lines, because if someone else goes offline and you're in a movie, you can't just be like, cut. Oh, yeah. Sorry. You have to just bounce off. And so it makes it to where you have to be able to communicate and go like, oh, they're showing a different emotion. I have to bounce off that emotion now. And like kind of.
And there's such like a disconnect in society right now. I feel like there's, like you were saying, like you have to be present. Dude, I struggle with that so bad. Like I joke about it. Like I can say this because I don't care, but like late diagnosed ADHD, like did any of us wonder? Were any of us questioning it? No. But to have the diagnosis now, I'm like, well, at least I can say that. But it is really, really hard to like sit and like focus in, even though I'm interested. It's like I have to think about how I'm going to respond next.
That's how I am.
No, I know. And it's
honestly,
but honestly, I feel like anybody in this industry, like there's gotta be something like,
but we just have too much stuff going on in our heads that like, I'm not going to remember what you're doing.
Well, and that's another thing too, is I was like, okay, like let's say if I didn't have it, I would not be as detail oriented to be like, wait, that hair, like,
exactly.
Which, and maybe that's just my own thing, because I'm hypercritical of stuff, but every time I get footage back,
good. It's good though, because you like paying attention to those little details.
It's like painting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's an art form, like you're in an art form. And I feel like you have to have some sort of neurodivergence in some capacity to like be good at art. Like maybe not, maybe that's like a broad thing to state. But I do think too that like you were saying, like practicing being present and like communication and connection. That's why I view acting as therapy, is because even if you have no desire to be an actor, it's just a more fun way to like work on those sort of self-development things. Like I don't want to say it treats anxiety. I don't want to claim anything that will, that's not what I'm doing. But at the same time, like my social anxiety from, how I'm being perceived and stuff, non-existent now, like non-existent pretty much is still there. But like I said, like microdosing embarrassment and failure will foster resiliency. And then also it's like forced connection. Like
exactly.
You have to network. Yeah. And we all love networking.
Yeah.
I say with like, not at all. I like talking to people, but networking, and the only reason networking is like an issue for me is just because I don't want anyone, and I've talked to you about this before. I've probably talked to both of you about this before. I don't want anyone to think that I'm talking to them with like ulterior motive. I'm like, no, I just want to talk to you. Like
literally, I never would get that from you ever.
There's an ulterior motive.
Yeah. Like you're so straightforward and like,
hopefully that's a good thing. Okay, good.
No, it's the best thing because people are just so like sleazy and fake now that you're such a genuine person. Like don't even.
I don't even remember how we met.
You and I?
Yeah. How did we?
The blank stare. Both of us are just like.
It was one of those things. Like I was on the car ride here, and I'm like, I've known her for a while, and like every time we see each other, we just know each other. But
yeah, I know that's kind of how I feel with Kayla. But I do remember when I met you. But I feel like it might have been like online connection with acting realm, and then met in person. Oh, I know what it was. The Southwest Actors Conference last year.
That's right.
That's when I met you in person.
Okay.
But I think we were following each other before then, just because of mutual connection.
Okay.
Whereas Kayla, we met at the APA mixer, and like that was when someone introduced me to you, but they were like, "Oh, this is Kayla, and she's a camera op," or whatever they said, and you're like, "Girl, I'm taking you under my wing." You were like, "You're a woman on set, like you're female, like cam op, yeah, come hang out." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And then like you followed me on social media, and I was like, "Kayla knows everyone."
That seems like such a you thing to do.
No, immediately she was just like, "I don't know anything about you, but you're in."
Yeah.
And I was like,
I think it's funny because like you do have a big presence on social media, and you've mentioned so many times that like people are afraid to approach you. People are afraid to do anything. And when I was first starting my original podcast, at first I was like, how the hell am I supposed to get people on? The thing is, like, that correlation doesn't exist. Like a big following, some people might go to their head, but a lot of people are like, I just have a big following.
Yeah.
And if you just reach out, like there was a cheerleader that has like 500,000 followers. And I was like, you know what? I'd rather try than not. Yeah. And like within like a day, she messaged me back. I'm like, oh shit. Oh, okay. Let's get this going then.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, that's kind of what's cool. That's the cool part of social media is that people that are making moves and doing things, there's now, unlimited connections you can have. And that can be a good thing. That can also, like you said, it can get to people's heads. And like the comment that I made earlier about like followers is currency. It's currency in the sense of you talk about somebody and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, they have X amount of followers. It like does something to how you perceive that person.
They have this weird importance to them.
But rightfully so, because you're like, oh, if they have this many followers, there's probably a reason, or they have some sort of influence, and that's kind of what feeds into that imposter syndrome. But like you were saying, like, yeah, being scared to talk to somebody, it's just another person. Yeah.
I try to be like as warm as I possibly can too, because
you are.
I never want people to be treated the way that I was when I was first started. So like when I can, especially because I'm on the board of the APA, when I'm at mixers, I see people walk into the restaurant or the bar and they're just like, they freeze and they like sometimes walk back outside and I follow them out and I'm like, hey, I just saw you, like come inside, come meet everybody. And so like I just want to create like a safe space so that people can start acting and start feeling better on set as a female cam op.
That is literally like the lifeblood of what keeps people doing this. Like we were talking earlier off camera about burnout, because that's something, well, for those that don't know, Kayla was just coming off of a 24-hour shift, which we won't get into because NDAs and fun stuff. But she was like, yeah, I haven't slept for like 2 days. Let's do a podcast.
It's been more than 2 days.
That you said that to me and you're like, yeah, this is my third day in a row going. And I'm like,
it's really not healthy at all. But for some reason, my brain just doesn't shut off. And like, I'm just trying to embrace it now.
Well, and that's kind of the thread of burnout, right? Like when talking about burnout and being on set, which we can like get more into the film industry, sort of like how the dynamic is there. You're on sets usually for like 12, 14 hours, depending on how much they keep to regulation in that, you know?
True.
And sometimes set is an hour and a half away. So it's like, oh yeah, we can do 2 14-hour days. But like,
it's actually 18-hour days.
Literally, is that the regulation? Is like they can go up to 18 hours?
No.
Oh,
well, no.
You're saying with the drive
you can
time.
work however long you want them to work.
Yeah.
But you have to feed them every 6 hours.
Feed them like they're animals outside throwing chicken feed.
Here's some gushers.
Yeah, no, the amount of fruit snacks.
Yeah, you have to feed your crew every 6 hours and then overtime after 10.
So with that though, why is it that there's so many people that are like, sign me up, you know? And it's because, as defined by one of my instructors in his textbook, burnout is perceived demands outweighing perceived resources. So if you get to a point where you don't have the resource or you don't feel supported, that's where burnout starts. Like that's where it sort of escalates. And so if you feel a sense of like appreciation for the work you're doing and you feel like there's importance to it, and you also feel, you can feel overworked, but if your perception is that you can handle the work, your body and your mind will sustain that. So with that being said though, in another book I'm reading, I don't know if you guys are you familiar with Brene Brown?
I've heard the name.
She's phenomenal. She like, her whole life's work is about studying shame and everything, but she's just awesome. She has this book called Atlas of the Heart, and she talks about pretty much every emotion. Like we have, like you were saying, the 5 big emotions. The amount of emotions that we have that are like there is like, disappointment is a little bit different than sadness versus loneliness, but they all kind of fall into the same thing. But she talks about belonging, and like belonging is like the lifeblood of everybody. Like
we're social creatures. We have to.
Yeah. If you feel like you belong somewhere, then you can withstand like pretty much anything. And so with like battling imposter syndrome, you know, battling that I walk into the APA mixer and I do not belong here. I haven't booked a lead role. I'm not SAG eligible. I'm not, you know, whatever it is, you tell yourself that that feeling of belonging, that imposter syndrome is gonna eventually be your downfall. Like that's gonna be what separates you from pushing through. And this isn't any career. This applies to anything.
Yeah.
But having somebody there to hold your hand and be like, you belong here.
Yeah.
Like that's why I think networking is so important, and why I really love talking with a lot of like crew and production and just networking with people at the APA mixers and stuff. Cause as an actor, like you could like talk to if there's a casting director there or a producer, you can talk to them and make that connection, but there's no guarantee that they'll have any say or pull in booking you for a role. Right. But having that like connection of, oh, now I belong because they know me. Like I don't need to book anything. I could go an entire year without booking anything, but I feel like this is what I'm a part of. And so therefore
it's going to happen.
It's going to be, and even if I don't book it, like that's okay. I belong here.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny you mentioned that, because that's where kind of my worry sometimes comes in. When I meet someone that does have higher status, I'm worried that I'm talking to them with an ulterior motive. And the last thing I want to do is approach someone with, like, if it's a casting director, I want to genuinely connect with them. I know I want to, but then there's like a part of my brain that's like, are you talking to them because you want to be friends with them or because you want the next role in whatever movie? And then I have to like battle myself almost. I'm like, I want to actually talk to them, but then there's always that like, but there's also a possibility of this. And like,
so you have a conscience.
Yeah.
That's why you're saying.
That'll just go away when you guys are booking more stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's the thing. Like I'm sitting here listening to you guys, and it's like, that was me so long ago now.
Yes.
Like, I've been doing this for 16 years.
And I'm very green still in my opinion, even though I feel
compared to it. Yes.
Oh, I'm still super green too.
Yeah.
But like, there's just time that needs to go by, because like my answers to what you guys are saying is like, I walk up to people, they're normal people. Like I never have an ulterior motive. Like it's just the opposite. Like people are scared to come up to me. And so it's such a weird thing to
It's just because you're so cool, Kayla. We're just like, oh, I'm not as cool.
Well,
as
I just
Kayla.
understand completely though, because when I was first starting, I would walk into the APA mixers and nobody wanted to talk to me. They were like side-eyeing and rolling their eyes at me.
Which
like, who are you?
Could have 100% be your perception. Like they might have not even
they did.
Oh, never mind.
I
sorry.
Stories for days, which we won't start that part. But that's why I actively treat people better than that, because like I never ever wanted to feel like that ever again. And so when I see someone literally walk into a mixer that I'm on the board of, this is my event, and they walk out again because they're afraid, I see it as like they were strong enough to come. And so I have to now show them that they should be here, you know?
That's just good leadership skills. That's just being, and being a genuine human. Like going back to what you were saying, Alex, about like, oh, do I have these ulterior motives? I mean, not to get philosophical, but like pretty much anything anybody does could be perceived as like selfish, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you look at anything and it's like, oh, I'm only doing this good thing so that I feel good. So you have to like accept that. And like,
that's true.
You have to understand going into a mixer and connecting, like I'm networking for my own benefit, business wise, like pretty much everyone there
everyone else is doing that too.
Right. And so we kind of build it up in our head as like, they're all going to know that I'm only talking. There's just authenticity. Like you can sense when someone's authentic and like they want to talk to me, or they don't want to talk to me, but they are forcing themselves to because they want to see what I can give them.
Right.
And even then,
that's what I was meaning to go to. And the fact of like, I know that everyone wants something from me, you know, because I'm in a position to help them. Right. And so that's just naturally how it is. So that's not even a thought in my brain, because that's just naturally what's going to happen if they talk to me. So like, I'm not even thinking about that. So
do you feel like then that was something that you've like always, because you said you don't want anyone to feel the way that you felt in the beginning, which I'm assuming is like the driving force for like, I will be the shoulders for you to stand on because I had shoulders to stand on. Is that something that you like always felt going into it? Or do you feel like that kind of molded and shifted over time, wanting to give or help everyone?
It shifted over time because I came out here by myself. I self-taught myself. I didn't have any family support. I didn't have friends to support me. I didn't have the community out here to support me. So I just luckily didn't quit. Yeah. Because I love what I do so much that I don't care what anyone was saying to me. I don't care that they didn't want me in their groups. I'm still going to be here. And like, that's been my story. And now it's like, because you guys didn't get to push me out, look at this army that I have behind me.
Exactly.
And so like, that's what I'm trying to do now is like, yeah, you guys have your own little area. That's fine. Totally fine. You can be miserable over there, but I'm going to have like a beautiful life, and I'm going to have as many people around me have a beautiful life. Cause look at what we do for a living.
Well, and you specifically, both of you guys, I mean, the podcast in and of itself, but like you're doing things that are tangibly helping, like in the sense of the APA board stuff, all the stuff with Arizona filmmakers, like all the women on set, like just creating all of these sort of communities like that. Like I said, like I will preach this, like the sense of belonging is the lifeblood. Like somebody will have wanted to quit, but didn't because they felt supported. And that was kind of my approach when I was in my acting studio too. But that's kind of how I operate in any setting. Like I try to be the icebreaker for everyone. Like I was on,
so you're doing it too.
Well, but that's also me just like, I had that internal battle all the time of like, I know this is a strength of mine, but also what is the ulterior motive? Like, do I think I'm superior? Like, what is this grandiosity?
It's
sort
your
of
responsibility.
Yeah.
That's
and that's how I feel. Because it's like, if you have the capacity to, you're the one. Can. Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel about it too. And so I was on a Zoom call. I was on a table read a couple nights ago. Hopefully this is like not released when it's like close to, I don't want anyways,
don't give us details.
I won't, no, it's not bad. Like, it's not that. It's more so like, I don't want the people in the table read to know that I'm like addressing the table read. But it was just like awkward. Like no one was saying anything. And normally, and they're all chill, like everyone's cool. But normally when you hop on a table read, producer, director, somebody will be like, hey guys, like everyone go around, introduce yourselves, like say who you're playing, whatever. No, we all hopped on. It was completely quiet. And then he was like, okay, let's get into it, whatever. And so it was just kind of like this weird tension. I also know some of the like, personal, like some of the like nuances of things going on. And so like at one point we do the table read and it was fine. And like, it was just kind of like awkward. And then I was just like, okay, well, like I have a question, like point my finger. One of the actors starts laughing at me. And then I was like, what was funny? Why did you think that was funny?
Just gotta break the ice.
And then, like, exactly. And then afterward, my friend called me because she was on the table read and she was like, dude, you saved that table read. Because we all just felt awkward. But then as soon as you start making an idiot of yourself, like it's now a safe space for us all to kind of let our walls down. And I kind of took that on mentally years ago when I was like, oh, I don't have any problem being the like scapegoat for like weird, awkward,
which is
whatever.
Every
that's what I do.
You need it, but then sometimes it's a tough burden to carry.
No, it really is.
But God gives it to us.
I think that's why we get along so much, because you're like following the same fucking.
I'm like, I don't care,
and you have to just do it.
There's something kind of like sweet and satisfying knowing that people respond to you, to your presence in that sense. Like I make people feel more comfortable because I can be the one that everyone universally is laughing at.
Right.
And that's okay.
Because you're doing something that is happening to everybody. Like everybody's head is so awkward.
They're like,
somebody please
what
say
am I
something.
doing? Yeah.
You're the one that's like,
so what? How was everyone's day?
Yeah, like we're on the same brain.
That's what happened in my acting studio was like I walked in, I got kind of like titled, like known as the one who like administrates everything. And I remember like I'd get texts from people in the little acting sphere like, you're not here, what questions do we ask each other? Like, because I sit at the table and I'll be like, so everyone's gonna go around and talk about their childhood trauma. And like jokingly, you know, but like also not like tell me and I will, you know. And I think that having sort of like that open door for let's just talk, like connect, even if it's a waste of space, air, like you can talk about the dumbest thing. It's that craving for connection and belonging that is like solidifying. Okay. Like, and it could not just even like I belong in this community, but it can even just be like, I belong, period. Like, I have value.
Like, at all.
We could, yes. Not to get too trauma dumpy, but like.
Honestly, I think it's just something that you should feel more comfortable with is like not waiting so long to do it.
Yeah.
You know, just because everything you just said, like, you know who you need to be for everybody else and for yourself. And like, why waste any time? Just like get right into it. If you're at a table read and it's been awkward for like even 30 seconds, just be like, well, I'm in the
like,
video. That's how I walk in the rooms. Like
you do.
I walk into like APA mixers and stuff, our events and stuff, and I know that they're afraid of what I'm gonna say.
I am
they
dead.
have to talk to me beforehand. They're like, okay, literally, I had a speech.
They have to debrief you.
No, I had a speech like a month ago, and they literally cut out like 3/4 of what I was gonna say. They were like, we need to like a meeting about.
They're not ready for that. They're not ready for that, Kayla.
But I know that that's how people know of me. Like, I'm a firecracker. I say what I need to say.
As you should be.
And I just have to, like, be that person. And so you should be that person.
And it is a strength. And it is, you know, you do have to have the balance of, like, having all these individual people in your life. And that's another aspect to why acting, I do think, is so therapeutic, because it does foster a lot of authenticity. You learn pretty quick when you're acting where you feel the most like triggered, like what's comfortable, what's not. And it's a little bit easier, at least for myself, like to fall into place with who you are. Like, I feel like I've always known who I was, but do any of us really know who we are? You know, like, and in your 20s, you're finding yourself. But I do feel like that was kind of the safe space of where like I settled into, okay, I do come in at a 10, and sometimes I need to give people their space, like that acting instructor said. And at the time, that was like the biggest trigger, because I'm realizing through behavioral health and like following the thread of like childhood trauma and everything, like, oh, as a kid, it wasn't safe to be that 10, because you were then, you know, the butt of the joke or too much or annoying or whatever. And so that's another thing too. Like, I feel like the people that get it, like, we all have some sort of track of like, we were all bullied, or like, we were all like, what is your childhood trauma? Like, that's where, that's why I bring that up. Like, when I talk to friends, is because I'm like, if I want to talk to you, typically it's because I can sense that like, oh, you get it.
Trauma bonds to trauma.
Like, it really does.
It does.
100%. Yeah. Like, everybody that I'm actually super close with, it's because there's some sort of trauma.
Something. Yes. And usually more than one.
A lot.
Usually a lot.
Yeah. Which I'm curious about your stuff.
My trauma.
Especially, like, well, this is therapy session. This is getting into the down and dirty. Like, me and her have gone into a lot. Like, we know probably too much about each other at this point. But
doesn't exist. I don't know. I mean, I set boundaries, healthy boundaries, but yes.
But at the same time, vulnerability is what connects people.
Absolutely.
That's like the biggest thing that does connect. If you can be vulnerable, it lets people knock down their own barriers. Like everyone already has barriers when they first meet each other. But the second someone's willing to open their barriers a little bit and be like, hey, I'm willing to be open with you. And then the other person's like, it's just a psychological thing of a transaction. You open your barriers. Okay, well, I might not open as much, but I'll let you in a little bit.
Yeah, I feel that safety. And that's reminding me of like, so the book Atlas of the Heart, Brene Brown, she talks about how like sort of the biggest, most like defining comment, the example she gives, to not like beat around the bush, is that like they did a study on people. I'm like trying to say it in a way that's like not like crazy. They did a study on all these school shooters, and they found that like the common thread was that each of them had experienced some sort of like really it affected them a lot. Humiliating story. Like there was a humiliation thread,
right?
To just get to the point. And she talks a lot about humiliation versus embarrassment, and how humiliation is essentially the cause of all wars. Like humiliation is what turns people towards these like aggressive feelings. Yeah. And so thinking about the difference, she talks about what is, if you're going through something embarrassing, like what is it that people who are resilient or happy or find meaning in their life, like what's the difference when faced with those things? It's this idea of like being able to manage shame through. It's people who overcome shame, because shame is like the underlying thing. Talk about it. Yeah. If you can accept it and talk to someone else, it humanizes it. It's now not, I have this shame around this thing, I'm struggling with this, or I don't like this about myself. You talk to someone and then you realize either they have a similar experience, they feel the same way, or they have something comparable. And once you have that like humanizing factor of, I'm not in this alone, I'm not the only one experiencing this, from there, it's now, okay, I've accepted that I have it. Like, you work to the point of, I don't need to be ashamed of this anymore. It's just something that I'm working through, because that's what everyone's doing. And so,
well, and with shame, I feel like it also stems from just the feeling of being alone. Something happened to you that only happened to you. And in your head, it has only happened to you. Nobody else is going to understand. Nobody else is going to be able to relate. But the fact of the matter is that's complete opposite. Whatever's happened to you, it's not the first time in history that's ever happened to anybody. And that's what people fail, I think, to remember. Like, no matter how bad it is, it's happened before to somebody else. And with the amount of people that are around, chances are someone else pretty close to you has probably gone through maybe not the exact same thing, but a very similar thing. And so they can help relate. And a lot of times it's like how when me and Kayla first met, you told me about you having bipolar. And I know that's probably not the easiest thing to always bring up to people.
That was the first time I actually ever said it out loud. Like to the public.
But for me, it really helped me to understand her better. It really helped me to be more patient. Like, if she hadn't told me that, I don't know if I would have had the same patience for her with work. Like, we probably
just understand it. It's like knowledge is power. I think one of the goals should be to know yourself as best you can, to know how you're authentic. And if there's something that you don't like about yourself, that's okay. You can shape that too. I think there's kind of been this notion that you have to like yourself as you are, this is my truth. This is who I am. No, you very well can have something about yourself that you don't like that you can change if it's within reason. The only thing is like, is that something that you are ashamed of? Is that something that you feel you need to hide? Because that's why I didn't get into acting until I was, 25, 26, was because for a long time, physiologically, like my body and mind took that portion of who I was, the outgoing, the performing type, and just totally backburnered it. I had it like hidden a little treasure chest in the back of my mind. Like it was this portion, and it was all perception based. I think I thought people thought it was embarrassing, but this is going to make you even more vulnerable to being made fun of and talked about. And so don't just keep it locked away. And then from the acceptance of, no, I like that part of who I am.
What's your favorite part?
It rewired that.
There's a filter though with it, because like I have opened up to some people which then opens up its own trauma thing. Like I've opened up to people about being a man that's gone through physical, sexual, emotional abuse. And there has been some people that like, they just don't know how to react to it.
Yeah.
That have lost a relationship because of like, you're just too much. And for me, I'm like, cool, I'm going to bottle it all in now. I'm never going to tell anybody because I don't want to have to go through that pain of losing someone that I didn't want to lose. Versus like, that's why for me,
welcome to modern dating.
Yeah, like that's I was literally talking.
You're like, that's another podcast episode.
Well, I was talking to somebody not too long ago with the whole point of like in high school, you'll sometimes meet that guy or girl that's like, I'm a fuck up. I have daddy issues. I have all this. You just have to accept it. It's something that I've accepted about myself, and I'm not going to change myself. And it's like the whole parable of like changing yourself for somebody.
That's just an NPC. For me, like, I'm just going to
dude, I say that too.
Some people this right now, if somebody is that like shallow and like you're telling them something that happened to you and they react negatively instead of just trying to understand and trying to even ask questions to figure it out more deeply. They don't care about you. They're not capable of caring about anything, and they need to go.
It's emotional immaturity.
Yeah.
It's like, it might not be a bad person,
but you should hold it.
There's some emotional growth.
No, but like, but
still, and I think everybody has experience with that, of showing something vulnerable to someone and then not having it responded to in a way that we might like.
Yeah.
And recognizing like, oh, A plus B equals C. I'm never doing that again.
Right.
And I think that's normal human behavior. It's a coping mechanism. It's a defense mechanism. I was reading in my textbook all about like just Freud like psychoanalysis, and I was laughing so hard because it's like, this is like, oh, you're responding to trauma. Like, these are all of the ways people have defense mechanisms. And it listed like 12, and every single one of them, I was like, yep. Like, it was like, I was like, oh, like one of them is, I don't know if it was like sublimation or something, maybe, but it was like, oh, you can't hit that person that you want to hit. So you go to a sporting event and you're yelling at a team or something. And I was like, oh, like acting, like putting, there's everything on there. I was just like, yep. And then you realize like,
well,
I'm just a walking, like someone who's very much not healed, but I think that's
it is
a double-edged sword. Exactly. It's like, are we ever fully healed? No, because
we never will be.
You're going to constantly get like, you feel like as soon as you get healed, something's going to come around and do something to you again. And that's why
remind you of it too.
Remind you of it or new. So you're like, wow, like I didn't realize it could get worse than before. And then it does.
I felt that this week.
Can you? She goes, I felt that last week, and then just like, I'm not going to open up about it. You don't have to if you don't want to.
My cat died.
Oh, sorry.
But I mean, really,
I know.
It was like, I was like, okay, 2025, nothing can get as bad as the last 4 years. Yep, it can.
Yeah.
Okay, it can. It can.
And that's another thing too. Like when we do go through like that traumatizing thing, this is what I've been experiencing, but I put it on myself like, oh, okay, now I have this whole tool belt of all these things to cope with. And I can't feel the feelings. Like I can't, like you have to, now you know what the defense mechanism is. Like, don't do that. No, dude. Be angry, be sad. Like that's also,
okay with it.
I had lost that too for a few years because I was just so numb to how horrible my life was all the time. And then I just got like this one person came into my life and just totally like ripped me apart to the point where I felt like every emotion that I had been holding in, and like it ruined my life, but like I was so grateful for him because I now cry and now I am angry all the time.
Genuinely.
It's like, now I am more confident in myself and what I need to do. And I'm not just like numb and just like watching TV all day and like wishing I was this like ginormous filmmaker. I'm actually going to take the steps now because I have those emotions. I didn't hide them anymore.
Yes. It's the willpower to suppress those is like burning calories.
Yeah.
I was watching this show. It's like a docuseries. It's called The Brain with David Eagleman. It's just like a interesting like analysis of the brain and all these things. They did this study where they put a bunch of people in a movie theater and they played these like really emotionally jarring clips of animals in distress and things. They told half the audience feel the feels, you know, don't suppress it. Just if you want to cry, do whatever you want. The other half, they said, try to not react, like try to just watch it, but don't let it affect you. And then afterward, they had them do a grip test to see how long like they could withstand grip. Every single person that was suppressing gave up well before the people that were letting themselves feel. And it's because if you're suppressing those feelings and that energy, like that's exhaustion.
You're tensing your muscles.
That's burnout. That's fight or flight. That's raised cortisol. That's, you know, your amygdala and hippocampus, like all of these things happening in your brain.
I can feel it right now.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I should stop talking about it.
No, it's cool.
But it does expend a ton of energy.
Yeah.
And so then you think about trying to go through life.
Yeah, just imagine every day.
Handling every single thing thrown at you. Granted, everything with a grain of salt, right? Like don't just go cry at every little inconvenience.
Right. Yeah.
However, if you're going through something, just because you know how to cope or you know what you should do or you know it's not that big of a deal doesn't change the fact that you're experiencing real human emotion and feelings because you're a real human. What a gift to be alive and exist and to be changing things. Feel it and then get back to boss babe, like go back to it, you know? And
it's also the thing of like, just because it's happened to you before doesn't mean that it's not like big.
And it does, and that you can't have the same response every time. Like that's another thing too, is I feel like acting has given me a lot of internal grace for myself of like, you're just trying your best. And if you fail, if you're weak, if you give up, okay, that's the most human experience. Like that's what I think is really like differential about watching people act or watching a movie that's really well done versus something that might not resonate as much is when you're watching somebody just experience a human emotion authentically.
Oh, I love those like super vulnerable, like ugly cry type of things. Cause I'm like, I know what's going through your brain right now. I know this passion that you're having. Like it's more than just the director telling you to be angry. You're thinking about something. There's something happening in your brain right now that's making it to where you can bring that out.
Yeah, absolutely. And
that relation.
Going back to what you were saying a second ago with like, oh, I don't want to sit at home and like think about how I should be this like big director. One thing that I've realized too is right now, like at the bottom of the mountain, I'm experiencing all these things that are so human and interesting. If I was like, let's say like a really established actor, like even just like C-list, whatever, completely different realm, completely different. Like I wouldn't be in an acting class that I'm in.
Right.
Like I wouldn't just be walking down the street experiencing some of the most human experiences. And I've kind of like switched my perspective on it to see things as like, you are training, like you are living a human life. And that's what's building you up for whatever performance is down the road. Same thing with like making a movie. If you were like the top grade A director, there could be a lot of that love and passion lost because at that point it's pure money or it's pure production. It's pure, you know, it's like almost like there's this really beautiful camaraderie in the struggle together from the bottom.
100%.
Yeah.
I feel that on my Western that I just shot. Like it got to a point where we shot for 58 days. And in the all overnights, like
it's insane.
We didn't pay people well at all. We will afterwards. The contracts are that we'll pay you guys afterwards. But just sitting there, and we were trying to get this shot where like we had like 5 people. Like someone was trying to hold up a head that was separated from like a body, and then someone had to pop a balloon, and then someone else had to like rip this like scarf off at the same time that someone shot a bullet at it, a fake one, and then blood splatters. It was like 8 people. Trying to get this same thing done at the perfect time with the camera operator moving too, and I had to get it in focus.
Dude, I'm stressed out.
No, it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Just seeing so many people struggling for like we did it for like an hour and a half.
Oh my gosh.
People were like.
They're like barely alive.
Roll the camera. Yes. And it's just like, that's what's so cool about it. And like going back to like the emotional stuff, like you guys know what they're thinking about when they're giving you that emotion. For me, being a camera operator and a director, like that's what I live for, is to capture you guys in that way. And to like, as a camera operator specifically, we have a lot of psychology within us that we have to make 100%. You guys feel as comfortable as possible with us. Or like, if you need to be uncomfortable, I'll make you uncomfortable. It's like the directors don't even have any idea how much the camera operator does to get the actor in the space that they need to be in. All of it. There's so many cam ops that I know that I don't know that just like, they're just there for the technical. They like the camera and they like the colors and whatever. They're science
which is
nerds, which is great, but super cool. You guys like what it does, but like you don't have that soul. You don't have like the psychological connection with the story that you're telling, and that's what makes me feel like I deserve to be bigger than I am, kind of in a way, because I can do the technical stuff, but I also have the eye and I can connect with people in ways that no one else can.
Oh, absolutely.
And I just can't wait to be able to share that, you know?
And that's something that you can see, like, that's what I mean when I say like, oh, I want people to see that like I'm worth what I say.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you explain that to someone? You just show them as you're working. You know, you can sense it.
When we worked together that one time, we won't talk about it.
I was like, oh no, we don't have to talk about it. We can talk about it later, but I had a very different experience than you did.
Well, that's another thing. It's like, so a crew makes it so that you guys don't know what's happening.
Exactly.
You guys have to be a certain way. You have to be your.
Well, we definitely saw some of what happened.
There was nothing you could do.
It was just a lot of chaos, but we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we can talk about it after.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. But worst movie I've ever been ever done. Literally
with emotional suppression, though. Kind of getting back to that.
We're back.
It made me worse at my job.
Oh. Like since?
No.
Oh, just there.
During that movie, yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, no one expected anything from you other than just like, just please be here. Just please be here.
Up tomorrow.
Yes.
I wanted to say though, like really quick, that the reason why I loved you so much was because like you came in with such a good energy, but like you knew the technical sides too.
And that's another thing where I feel like all that did. So I was telling Kayla beforehand, like I did the Arizona Film Office PA training, which was a week-long training. I drove up to Prescott every day for it.
Holy shit.
It was actually like kind of nice. I like driving. Like it was kind of nice, like therapeutic, but side note, but, it made me realize I never want to do production.
Yeah,
I'm not cut out for this. Yeah. I don't have the muscle capacity. Yeah. Like I really don't. But it also was like, I now can understand everyone's role and when it's okay for me to be like, yo, like, tell me about yourself. And when it's like, dude, don't even be in their vicinity sort of thing. Which
we appreciate it so much, which it makes the like dynamic on set so much better. Cause like there's so many times, like, especially at rap, oh my gosh, let me just get into this really quick. Especially at rap time when we've been working our asses off for like 13 hours straight in the sun, like whatever. And you guys have been in your trailer for like 4 hours and you're just like dancing and posting on freaking Instagram, like literally. And then we rap and you guys are just sitting inside the set, like taking selfies with each other and stuff. I just had to say that.
I mean, I've never had a trailer.
Physical violence should be allowed at least once.
No, like that's like my least favorite thing. Is like when actors don't get it. Like we worked our ass off today to make you look good, and like you gave us a half-ass performance, and like you know, like not you guys.
Kayla's saying it. No,
I'm just saying. Like,
but if it is me, like
if you're gonna sit in an RV all day with air conditioning and a bunch of different kinds of food, literally, we don't even get the same food. At least give us some sort of art form. Like be serious about it, and that's
it. Just come as prepared as you can too. Like that is my biggest fear that I still struggle with. I sit here and I'm preaching like know yourself, except no, I get terrified of like needing my mess ups or something like causing people to do a take again. Like you were explaining about the whole, like we have, 10 people with these practical effects that are all happening at the same time. If I fluster my line, if my eye line is off, like that's bad.
Yeah.
And everyone's super gracious. Like in the moment, they'll be really nice to you. But I also am like, a highly sensitive person, I can tell from the flick of your eyebrow that you want to murder me right now, you know? And so I think also too, that just makes me more like, I try to not get in my head about it, but sometimes when I'm performing, I'm like, it's not that I'm not emotionally present in the scene. I'm terrified of messing this up for your sake.
Right.
Like,
well, it's the same thing on our side, because like if you're doing an amazing performance and it's
out of focus.
It's out of focus, or I cut your head off, like we have to do it again, and we might never get that performance ever again. So it's literally the same
a lot
thing.
of trust and synergy.
Especially with those super high emotion scenes. And stuff.
You have to be on the right page.
Like that again.
No,
and that's why I feel like it really is like a different ball game when you're on a set where there's synergy and connection, like the crew can make it. Because if that's one thing where I wish there was a little bit more push for connection between the talent and the crew, because I feel like that's probably where there's the biggest disconnect, because they're involved in, a lot of times you're involved in the pre-production and you're involved, like there's table reads, sort of the like, I don't know what realm that is, like the business, like the producer's director realm, but you don't really know the crew as much. Like you kind of have to insert yourself. And that's where, from my personal experience, and it varies person to person, but some crew is just like, I have no intention and desire to talk to you whatsoever.
Yeah.
Plus, what do you like? Why are you talking to me? Sort of thing. I can usually force it out of them.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of crew members where I'm like, I can tell you don't talk to anybody, but congratulations, today you do. I can also take that with a grain of salt as well. I'm not going to force myself like on someone or make them talk if they don't want to, but
we're also trained not to talk to you guys.
Why?
Because
messes
multiple people. It messes you up out of your character,
which I can understand that for some actors.
That's the main thing. The second thing is like if we were waiting for the lighting to be done and you're talking to me, and then all of a sudden they're calling you and I'm the one talking to you, I'm the one that's in trouble, not you.
I don't think we should have anybody getting in trouble. Like,
they don't really like.
No, I know, but
like in the 5 seconds that they're like, Kayla, stop talking to her.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm the one in trouble.
It is. I
don't
always
really care, because I'm like, she was talking to me. If you really want to get into it, but like, I don't have time to say that.
Yeah, exactly.
But then the rest of it is just like, a lot of people don't know social cues.
Yeah,
and they'll come up and start being like, "Hi, like
you have the
cat."
you have the talent industry, and then you have like both neurodivergent. Both you have people that are highly sensitive, and then people that are like autism spectrum. Like they're not.
They don't get it. They're like, "Hey, I've watched you my whole life." Like,
and then someone's yelling at you. They're like, "Kayla," and you're just like, "Dude, I gotta go."
Yeah, especially when you're trying to get into that scene.
Yeah, I'm about to cry right now while you're talking to me.
Really get into something. I want to be nice to you. I want to do this, but like I'm about to scream at somebody.
Yeah,
I need to get to.
It is a balance.
There's 2 other things though. When you're on bigger sets like that, I haven't been on like massive sets forever, but like on the ones that I have been on, the union crews, no offense to everyone, but like they are just so like numbed to it all that they don't even care what they're shooting.
Which is,
I was on a set where it was so upsetting to me that I was like, this is like one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my entire life, and you guys are just like rolling your eyes right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
do you guys not understand
no,
where you're
at? I asked them that. I was like, do you guys have any idea what you're doing right now? Like compared to the rest of the world, why are you guys just so numb to this? And it pissed me off actually, like because it made what they were making not as special.
And you lose the magic. That's why they say don't be your heroes, you know?
Once I watched the movie, I knew exactly the scene it was, and I could feel how the crew was feeling. And so the other thing was like with my Western, and like just the journey of me having to like try to build a team over and over again because people leave or like we aren't friends anymore or whatever. The team that I had on my Western like showed me that no matter what, you can find the people that are going to do it.
And that's why like I'm trying to be more like, don't be looking at this like starry image of making it like this short film project where it's run and gun and you just like your character and everyone's like vibing and it's like a fun experience. I can understand the financial components. If it's your livelihood, I can understand not every film is going to be fun to make. Some of them handle really like heavy topics and stuff, but that synergy, that connection. And that's why I'm like, I wish there was a little bit more of that like openness towards collaboration between talent and crew. But I also am like, how do you navigate that?
When you're on a good set, you have it. Yeah. And I think that's like, I'm not saying that you guys haven't, but like you can feel it.
No, I have felt it, I would say.
Yeah. So it's there.
Yeah.
And I can think you can tell in the movies.
I think it's just hard because a lot of the productions in Arizona are commercial work.
Yeah.
It's
You'll never get
commercial work is just,
they'll yell at you. Like,
I'll be honest with it. I'm like, listen, I know it's the bread and butter, and I will never as an actor, like, I want to be on set for sure, but commercials do burn me out. They drain me because I just don't love that sort of
there's no soul in
acting. Well, I also just don't, this is my own thing. Like, I don't love like the whole concept of like marketing to someone, selling to someone. Like, I don't want to sell you a product. Like, just because I'm a highly empathetic person, I'm like, but does this person really need this bag? Like, you know? And so it's hard when you're trying to sell something, but at the same time, you got to get on set. You got to, you have to connect. And that is sort of where the industry is. But then not really though. Like that's just perception. And I think it's just because agent wise, that's where the money is.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm getting all of my
that's
gigs.
Arizona. Arizona's huge commercials. That's where the money is for sure. Mm-hmm. But that's why I'm literally advocating so hard in every aspect to get films out here.
Get narrative work. Yeah. Because we have the talent. Like I swear, as soon as I think that I've like met everybody, I like see a feature pop up and I'm like, there's a dozen people cast in that I have never seen, like ever.
That's so true.
And then I go, awesome. Like, it's like that like subtle sigh of like sinking feeling, like 12 more people to audition against. But then also, you meet them and you connect with people and then you realize like the table is big enough. Like all of us can eat.
That's so true.
And booking a role has almost nothing to do with like, this person's specifically better than me. It's like,
no, it's like the vibe,
dude,
and the character. And
that
stuff.
Was the thing with casting for the short film that we did that I had to kind of go through the fact that like it could be down to the wire, down to 3 people, and literally they're all good. It's just literally for the most even like superstitial reasons. This person has blue eyes versus green eyes. This
compatibility with who your scene partner is.
Yeah. Like it could just be down to literally looks, anything rather
availability.
Than skill.
Like there's so much
Honestly,
about it.
I went through, this is totally random, sorry. I went through my first like casting call where I was sitting with the director on this side and I've never sat through people coming in and auditioning before. And honestly, no offense to Arizona at all, but so many people didn't know their lines. They were like reading from the paper. I thought that like actors like were like, they tried to act. I feel like it's industry standard to pretty much anything you audition for be off book. Like that's something that I was shocked.
Unless you get it like a couple hours before.
They can understand, if it's something crazy, but at the same time.
We gave it to him like a couple days
in that
before.
kind of instance, you have no excuse.
Yeah.
But if it's like, hey, tomorrow morning you have this.
I meant to say that in the form of like, you don't have that much competition.
Well, I think
if you're not giving it your all in any way, shape, or form, like you walk into an audition and you're just like, hi, my name is blah, blah, blah. Like, how do you expect you're going to get that role?
I do feel like there are some people where they just want to see, can you be on camera and like be somewhat normal? So they could walk in. Maybe they're used to like walking into auditions and just being like, hey, here's my presence. For me, the reason that I think being off book is helpful for me is just because I can't be like, giving you emotion and then look at a paper and then give you emotion. Like
that was happening too.
I can like pick it up. Like if you give me a take or if you're like, okay, back to one, do it again. That's different. But like in an audition, you're already so nervous. Like it's just how it is. If anybody says that they're not nervous at an audition, I'm calling that.
No, I was nervous of them coming in.
It's because it's just like a weird setting. Like, and so you kind of have to own it. You kind of have to lean into it. And some people are really, really good at like, just like, oh, I'm nervous. Okay, chalk that away.
We did have some good
performers.
Really cool. The difference was crazy between the good ones and
I'm not even nervous about those people that come in completely unprepared. I'm nervous about the few that are really fucking good that like I'm going against. Like, am I going to be part of the fuck ups or am I going to be part of that? And then obviously like if there's like 10 of us, like if there's 400 people coming in the audition, I know at least there's going to be 10 or 20 that are like
a comparable.
But I guess my question is like, how do you guys Like, what did you guys do when you booked a role that you think got you the role?
You assume I've booked roles, Kayla. I'm just kidding.
You did.
I have. Yes, I have booked roles.
You're in one of my movies.
I am in one of your movies. And that was actually the first role that I booked from a live audition.
Really?
Yeah. And that was like a huge that was like a milestone moment for me, was knowing, like, that was the validation. I think honestly it was just like, lack of, they didn't have a ton of people audition, like one of those things where they're like, I guess put her in. But I think the difference is just like you were saying, Alex, you're going to have these people that you are, for lack of better terms, like up against, right? Yeah. Usually there is somebody more fit to that character. Yeah. And so I just tell myself, that's not the character. Or maybe this person just seemed a little bit more like they could possess that. Because I try to showcase my range as much as I can in auditions and whatnot. But I also feel like my biggest strength is when I take a character and like give myself to the character. Like I want, like, I think, I might only book one role in my entire lifetime, but it's because the role was me. Like it was me.
No, I agree with that.
Question a little bit. Like, are you asking if somebody else books the role?
No.
Like, what did you do?
What did you do in order to,
like, what was the difference between?
Oh, yeah. I think it's one, seeing how I relate to the character for one. Like, is this something that I could portray myself, actually knowing the psychology? Like, if it's we need bad boy, blah blah blah, it's like I've never gone through all of that.
Yeah, the internal typecast of like, I can't do this.
Like there's that part of you that wants to set the challenge for yourself, like, oh, I can try to do that, but there's also that like that's one of the reasons why I'm very hesitant to do anything that has to do with like portraying a mental illness or portraying
I could do that all day.
I'm screaming at you, Kim.
Not just like regular.
Don't like, sell yourself short. I've been booked as a gang member, homie.
Yeah, that's
like,
what I'm saying.
No, like
I can do that, but like when it's like portraying someone with autism.
No, I know.
Me,
okay. Yeah,
like,
I mean,
okay. But
now we're getting to our ableist.
Yeah.
Ooh, no, I get that though. Like, you don't want to take on a character that you're just like, this is not like in the best interest of the production to put me here. Like there is someone for a better fit. And that's something that I've like
at that point, just don't show up though. Like, like seriously though, because you're wasting our time too.
No, I submit for auditions every single time. But like
until you get
whether I'm not gonna, and that's where I like when they have an audition submission. Like if it's like an open audition, you should kind of gauge it a little bit.
Yeah.
But submit first, because they might be able to tell you straight out the gate, like, you could be super talented. We want somebody that's racially diverse. We want someone that's not as tall, like whatever it is. And you just kind of have to be like, that's our vision. Yeah. That's the production. Right. Like, that's what it is.
Just know, like, even on my Western, like, we sat there with, like, 5 of us, like, kind of fighting over the people we wanted. Mm-hmm. Like, I wanted this person that we saw, like, 3 hours ago. And then somebody, like, the director ended up just, he picked everyone at the end. But we fought, like, we had an A-list actor, and we fought about that, who we were going to pick for, like, months. Mm-hmm. All the way up until literally, like, 3 days before he was supposed to be here. We were like, okay, just have him sign it, because we can't decide. So it's really like, I mean, it's to the wire for you guys.
I do, and that's like another thing too. I tell myself, like, it's just going to be like, some of them land, some of them don't. And I had a commercial that was going to be a really big opportunity for me. And funny enough, it was one that was with Bella. It was with Good Faith Casting. And I was very like unsure of whether, like, you just don't know how you're perceived by casting directors. Right. And so I'm like, I feel like I'm a good actor, but you don't get feedback from the people you're auditioning from. You really can only gauge it off of, am I booking things, or what is my acting instructor telling me? And even those, I'm like, I don't know if I feel good about it. So I was just like, I have no idea whether she thinks that I am like doing it right, or whether she's just kind of like, oh, thanks for submitting, like, and I had auditioned for her a couple times, which was like that validation, like, oh, okay, she wants me back. But this was my first time doing, like, I got called back for a callback, and that to me, I was just like, I got a call back. Like, I got a call back. And she had, funny enough, so we did live auditions, and we did the live audition it was over Zoom, and it's me, and then it's casting director, producer, client, director, and then one other dude, but I don't know what
he's probably the
DP. Sorry, he was a DP. I don't know what he was. Probably. But either way, intimidating to do a live audition in front of this casting director that you respect, and then all these big wigs for this commercial that would have been like a big opportunity. And so I did the audition, and then afterward I was just like, dude, whether or not I booked this, like, what a win to have a callback. And then she sent this email that was all talking about like the callback is a win. And I read it, and she threw out numbers. She threw out numbers of there was 192 auditions, 7 people got a callback, and then 1 person booked it. And so seeing that was like my like logistical brain went like, oh, okay. Like, yes, because you don't normally get that. Yeah. Normally it's like, it could have been 10 people auditioned and 9 got a callback. It could have been, 5,000 people auditioned and 200 got a call, but like it's kind of hard to gauge where you fall. And I'm not saying that even like the audition was that great. It could have just been you fit this part because we're looking for somebody that's 5'7" with brown blonde hair and blue eyes. Like it could have just been a good fit. And they want to see that like, okay, she has camera present, like she can read a script.
For me, it's kind of hard to like hear you guys talking about this, because like when you say that you guys can't tell if you're doing good acting or not, like I would look at the crew and their reactions, because like for me as a camera operator,
you do a scene and they're like,
the issue with that, a lot of the auditions that I've gone to, there is no crew.
It's like on set.
Oh,
when you're on set, like that's how you could learn.
I've been trained in the way that if like no direction is good, is
no feedback. Like if they're completely silent, no notes.
Like if they're not coming up to you like, hey, that was good, but do this. If they're just leaving you alone, that means that you're doing something that they like.
I'm not even talking about the director or the AD.
Well, I'm saying like in general,
like the crew, like they're like when they see it.
Oh,
when that key grip spots that emotion.
I'm not even joking. Well, it's probably just me being a cam op and like I'm super like emotional and stuff too. Where if something's amazing, I'm like
yes.
So like,
because
look at the reactions. I don't see any reaction.
Yeah. No, well, that could just be me being like unique in a way.
Yeah. Well, also like. Granted, studio lights in our face. I can't even see. Also, like they're clear over here. Like, where's the gaffer? Not in my line of sight because they're not supposed to be. You know, like.
Well, here's an example. I guess this is what I'm pulling from is like in my Western. So this Western took over my life for 2.5 years.
No, and I was gonna say earlier. Well, you finish. I was going to say, I remember we were talking about like typecasting auditions and stuff. I submitted for that when I saw it, and like. I don't think I got, like, there was, like, audition, like, you submitted to audition, but I don't think I ever got the audition, like, the sides or anything.
Yeah.
But, like, looking at the character, no, that wouldn't have, but this was also me very early on, but it's, like, recognizing, like, dude, I'm not going to be salty. I didn't get that. That was a forced, that was very forced. Like, look at you, girl. Like, no, Western? Nah. But no, I'm excited for just everything you told me, like behind the scenes stuff. I'm very stoked about that. But anyway, in the Western.
Yeah. When our main actor kind of surrenders at this moment and he just starts like bawling his eyes out. And like his dad had just died in real life. And so that's probably where he got that.
Oh my gosh.
From.
Yeah.
But the way that he like broke down, and he's not somebody that cries.
Yeah.
Like, this is this hardened like sheriff cowboy guy in real life. And that's why he was perfect for this role. And so when he just like bawled in front of all of us, we just like stayed like silent afterwards.
Was that something that was like written in? Like, was he supposed to get that emotional?
Yes. But like the way that he did it was like jaw dropping, and like we didn't even know what to do. But yes, we were silent, so no feedback. But like we all we cut the cameras and we all got up and in a line like hugged him one after
the reaction. Yeah, and that's why that's one of those like things that really makes this art form, this industry, like so different. Like we've talked a lot about the like. Actually, we haven't talked that much as we could about kind of like the workplace dynamic of, I don't know if I should wait for
You should wait for the plane. Wait for the plane.
That one is the sensitive microphone.
I was like, oh, should I do that? See, trained actor.
Hey, that was a good acting skill right there.
Well, I
wait
just
for plane.
Yeah, I know. Seriously. But no, dude, what were we talking about? Wait, okay.
how special that like.
Yes. The workplace dynamic of it, like just how, it's the industry is its own workplace because like it's its own thing, I guess, because it's in one hand, it's a workplace. The other hand, it's like an art form. Another place, it's just like a community of people. Like it's just so distinct and different. And so like you were talking about talking with an actor, you know, it's okay in this setting, but not this setting. And it's okay. Like there's so much you kind of have to learn, almost muscle memory to do and how to navigate. And that's another reason why like there's some crews you like working with, there's some actors you like working with, because it's almost like they get it. Like, you know, that they understand when and where. And that's a skill that like you can absolutely learn and work, but it's really hard to like pick up on. It's like, you don't know until you know. Yeah. And I'm in the boat where I feel like I know that I don't know, you know, like I'm aware that I need to be mindful of that.
Well, sorry, you go ahead.
Do you have a specific role that you think like might have like changed you at all, or that like you had to prepare yourself the most for? Like I can remember off the top of my head easily the one role that I have gone harder than I've ever gone before. It was like a drug deal type of thing. And I didn't play a regular drug dealer. Like I played a drug dealer that didn't want to be in the situation anymore. I was anxious and stuff. And this is the first time I had to literally give myself a panic attack on set. Like I had to, like, he wanted anxiety, but he wanted like the most, like, you're in a spot of like, not just like, oh my gosh, my heart's racing. Like you can see like it's, I need the fuck out of here type of thing. And I've never had to go that crazy into
a mental state.
Yeah. I literally had to tell him, like, tell me when we're 10 seconds from camera rolling, not when we're ready for this, but like when it's recording, and then leave me alone for 30 seconds and then do that. And he's like, okay, let's see what he can do. And then like, sure enough, they told me like, okay, camera up in 10 seconds. I'm like, okay, everybody get the fuck out of my face. And because like, personally, I have a panic disorder. I know exactly what triggers and all that kind of stuff. So I was able to like get my heart rate immediately to like 160, 170. I was able to like get
it. Doesn't sound healthy.
Oh no, it's definitely not. But it was to the point where like,
but we're not known to be a healthy industry.
Well, that's part of it. Is like sometimes you have to put your body through those extremes of like, okay, how do I get it to where it's doing this? And even in an acting class, I've had to do that. There was one acting.
That's where most of mine is from my acting class. It's not from sets. That's another
a person going through drug withdrawal, and everyone else that was trying to do it was playing it in a certain way. They were just like playing a doped up person. I'm like, that's not what withdrawal from the drug. Yeah. Like there's a difference between being on the drug and withdrawing from the drug. And I was the only one that went out there like, it was my turn, and I was like, okay, and I was hyperventilating myself in the audience. I was like, okay, I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, okay, I need to get this up to 130 at least. And so I was hyperventilating myself. The second I went up there, I'm shaking and stuff. I'm like, like really shivering, and like everyone's looking at me like, holy shit. I'm like, I've been around that. Well, I know what it looks like.
I feel like that's the thing of like when we were talking about trauma bonding earlier, is like I love people who have suffered the most. Yeah.
I love people who have suffered. Period.
Literally, because they know so much more about life, and you can connect to them so much easier. And that's
it's the understand. It's the common struggle. Like it's that camaraderie behind like, I see you. You know, you see me, and even if people, I don't want to like hierarchize, quoting that, types of people, because I think that everybody has like to a degree something, right? It's just, I think too, when they're open to expressing the vulnerability, sharing it, kind of like connecting over it, that's kind of where you find that sort of like, oh, that's the difference. Yeah. And that's what I agree. I think that that's kind of how I feel in any capacity that I'm in, not just in the industry. My friends, my relationships, the people that I feel like I learn the most from are the ones who have the most to teach me. And that's people who have gone through things, and everyone has something that they can teach or share or a story to tell. It's just sometimes that resonates. Sometimes it doesn't. Doesn't mean that that's not a good person. Like it doesn't mean you need to cut someone off.
Do you have those parts though? Like whether it's an audition or an actual role that
I've prepared
like challenged well, not like prepared, but like you've had to really challenge yourself to the extreme? Like, you were maybe expecting it, but like...
Or one that you would do.
Well, okay, so I feel like too, when you were talking, like I love hearing other actors talk about their technique and approach, because I don't think that I act in the same capacity. Like I've heard people talk about going to a place, you know, like I had to get to a place where I was sad, like hearing that actor bawling. I don't feel like I've really experienced that as an actor. I had one role it wasn't a role. I had one performance, and it will probably be the best performance I ever gave. And it was in an acting class. And it was a character that I've been working on. It was Nina from The Seagull, which is why I wear my seagull necklace.
Okay.
Anton Chekhov's The Seagull. Which is one of like the most infamous plays. Like if you know the whole backstory behind Anton Chekhov and Moscow Art Theater and Stanislavski, it basically was like, this is the foundations of what we know today as like teaching acting. I'm a big like nerd on the whole history of like people that have paved the way for it. And so that's why I chose this monologue. And my instructor told me from the get-go, she was like, do you really want to do this monologue? Like, it's kind of a challenge. And not that it was like, this character's so hard to get into. It's just kind of disjointed monologue and kind of a weird place. She's essentially just this girl who wants to be an actress. And she thinks she's really bad at it because she is bad at it. And there's also all this life stuff going on. But she gives this monologue, and there's so many lines in the monologue that just like so perfectly correlated with things I was dealing with. This was right during my divorce. And like it landed on the same week that I'd had a hearing that really just like destroyed me completely, which I hadn't really experienced courthouse and hearing and all of that up to this point. And so that was something that I'm realizing now is like, that I hate the legal, like being in that boat. But I gave this performance in an acting class, and funny enough, like it wasn't actually the performance that led to it. I went on stage, I took my shoes off, which I don't know why I did that, but like someone told me afterward, they're like, I'm going to start doing that too. But I think it was kind of like a grounding thing for me. Mm-hmm. And in acting class, there's like all these techniques and etiquettes, like in the one that I was in, you're not supposed to clap after someone performs. You know, when someone's on stage, they're going. Like you don't go up there and like talk to your instructor. Like you go, you know, like you don't have to go right into the performance, but it's not like we're not going to treat this casually. Like, okay, so like for my monologue today, you know, you're going to perform. So, but we're also cool and casual and humans. And so we talk to each other. And so I'm like setting up the stage, and I just start talking about these candlesticks that I wanted to bring with me and how I didn't have them because they were at my marital home that I wasn't living in anymore. And none of my possessions were with me because they were all in my marital home, an hour away. And I was just going into all these details. And at first, like people were kind of reacting and laughing. And then it got quiet as I was talking and talking. And my instructor, Rachel Grimes, I love her to pieces. She knows how to teach acting. She can look at someone's acting and know exactly what it is to talk about, or to, you know, what's going on here. She's just very, very educated and knowledgeable on people and acting. So she kind of picked up on it pretty quickly. And then I was talking and I like got to a point and she's like, go. Like she just said, go. And I just went into the monologue and it was like, it was one of those experiences. Yeah. There was points in it where I was crying, but it was not on lines that I should be crying on. And I wasn't at all thinking about the character or the piece. It was just me. And it was me saying things like some of the lines in there, like, I know now, I understand, like, this is my calling. And so I don't suffer as much. And talking about how like, he used to laugh at my dreams so that little by little I became downhearted and ceased to believe in them too. Like there was a lot of lines in there that were very specific to me. But the performance itself was just kind of one of those open doors for me to see like, oh, okay, like this is a conduit for healing. It didn't really feel like acting though. And like when I try to think about other circumstances where I have like dove into a character, I don't really. Like I feel like everyone else does that. Like they get to that place where they take it on. Every single time I've acted, I feel like, no, I'm fully aware the whole time that I'm acting and I'm performing. And every instructor tells me like, you don't feel what you're doing. Like, you're showing me. And I'm like, yes, but like, I also am like showing you, like, it's still landing, but
I'm scared to get into those instances to where, like, I almost want the consciousness that I'm acting.
Yeah.
Because especially if it's a certain type of character, I don't want to stay in that character.
You also want the control of.
Yeah, I want to be able to separate
being aware of things.
myself in the situation right now from my actual self. Like, I want to be able, as soon as they say cut, as soon as I'm done for that day, I want to be able to separate myself. I don't want to stay in that character.
And I've always done that. And I think that I get mad at myself for not being able to, like, I've always seen it as, when I get to that point, when I get to the point where I can feel the feelings
away.
Like, it feels like acting doesn't necessarily have to be this raw, authentic, full vulnerability every single time.
Yeah.
It's just more often than not, like, those full, authentic, vulnerable moments are the ones that really do resonate with people.
Yeah.
But you can absolutely perform that with authenticity still, but with the full awareness that Cam's here, don't look at those.
Yeah.
Director is, doing something, whatever it is. Like, I think there's a misconception that all acting looks the same, and that's feeling.
I like that you said that, because it's really also not just even feeling your emotions, but like feeling the room and where the camera is, where the lights are, the timing of things.
Oh,
like,
yes.
That's what you should be focusing on too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the one time I had a director. It wasn't a director, it was a DP. Call me out. It was the biggest production I was on. But I just was given, it's not that big of a deal role, but like, I had to wave to someone. This was all like run and gun. I had to like wave to someone and then like walk forward to them. And so they had set up this whole dolly. I'm so sorry. That's my phone in the background.
Yeah.
They'd set up this dolly, and the track was like right here, and then they had all these cords, and then they had the camera, and so I'm supposed to just walk straight, and there's like 4 dudes right here, and so and a couch in my way, so I'm like, hey, and then they like stop the take, and he comes up to me, he goes, stop looking down, you keep looking down, stop looking down, and so it's just like, oh, okay, run into the couch then, like, and I just was like, hey, and like moved forward, like fully tripped on the cord. Did any of that footage make it in?
Nope.
Did any of that even location make it in?
Seriously.
No. And that's one of those things.
That's how it goes though, because like literally for us on this side of the camera, is like literally if you just don't look down, but then don't hit the couch. But you hesitated now because you didn't try to hit the couch.
And now we can see it in your face that you're thinking about them things.
Take a breath and try it. All of that combined. It's gotta be hard. Like, but it's hard.
If you're chill, then you can be like, yo, sorry, like, hey, you're gonna have to run into the couch. But just try.
See, that's how I am. So
and that's how I feel like it's just like, if we just communicated, love, if we could just communicate, because it's that pressure of, this is a DP, because I definitely do my homework. When I get a call sheet, I'm researching. Funny side story, the first set I ever got on was right after I started acting. And I was like, this is my first set, but no one's going to know that. They're all going to know that I know what I'm doing. So I'm like looking up terms. I'm like, okay, like, what is this thing? Like a stinger. I know what that is. Like all these things. I don't even
know what a stinger is.
Just an extension cord.
Oh.
But that I also know from PA training, which was any of that useful? No. But I also wanted to know, what is an AD? What's a first AC? I didn't know what they did, but now I know what they're called. And then also from there, like cross-referencing names, like I'm looking to see who's on the call sheet.
Yeah.
And so at the DP, I like knew that, this is a DP for like some Netflix features. Like, I want to get on his good side. At that point in time, like after that happened, I'm like, I just don't want him to even know who I am. Like, I don't want him to remember anything about me. And it wasn't even like a personal thing. Like, I don't think it didn't do anything. Like anybody in that situation, he probably would have given the same note to. But it really is a skill to be fully aware of the artificial surroundings. And then like, okay, I'm aware of it. Moving on. Now, what is it like? How can I be present and react to my scene partner? Which for me, it's a lot more moving parts, but that's how I act. Like that's my own. I think I can do what I'm asked, and you give me direction and I can do it. and still be aware of where I'm at, but just that's a factor. And now like I can act alongside you. Whereas some people, they might be like, no, that's too much for me to process. I just need to be fully present and let myself be this character. And so I think that's that person's strength. If that's the role and what the role demands, they're probably going to book that. I'm probably going to book a role that's more tailored to like, oh yeah, we can see that you are aware of the surroundings. And I was going to ask you earlier though, when you were talking about the guy who booked the role where he was like bawling, did you guys know going into it that he was like emotionally capable of that? Like, did you ask him in the audition to show that?
We knew him before we wrote the movie, actually.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And we knew that he was not able to get there. And so when he did get there,
that's when it was like, wow.
Everything for us. Like the whole show stopped for him because,
and I think
because we were shocked.
That's the like the gold of a production. And that's kind of been my mindset too from the get-go is like, it's the production. Like, why would I want to get cast in a role that I'm not suited for if that's not what the project requires?
That is the main thing that I want actors to know. Because you guys, like, not everyone, but like you guys are really like, you're embarrassed about yourselves and things. Like you don't like think that you're good at anything ever.
Way to call me out.
No, you guys are. It's true.
Well, I think it's just like the challenge. Like even if I don't think I'm going to be good for it, I have surprised myself in some instances to where like, I'm going to go for this. I don't know if I can do it, but I also, with enough preparation, with enough like research on that type of character, I think I can get to that point.
Definitely try for sure.
They see something in you if they booked you for it, if they cast you in it. And that's kind of what we were talking about with like my personality. It's now your responsibility to uphold whatever's required in that. Like if you let yourself get psyched out because you're like, oh man, they only cast me because they felt sorry for me. No, they didn't. I promise you, they did not.
No,
like that's exist. If you come in with that mindset, now you are not fit for the role. And it's funny because when you had asked me earlier if there was any roles that I had prepared for, thinking back, the first role that I ever booked for a short film where I was a lead, I got cast off of a headshot. So it wasn't like a live audition or anything. So I definitely felt inadequate, but that's kind of the fuel to my fire of like, I'm going to make sure that I can come in with all my ducks in a row. And I think that that's also part of the reason why, like, no, every small role I've booked up to this point, thank goodness there was not more expected of me because I'm still very much building those muscles and working towards that. I would have crashed and burned on a big set with a big role had I not gone through the last, 2-3 years of training. But that particular role I was playing like a zombie creature thing that was the two main characters' mother, which funny enough, on the movie that we did together, my son then played my husband in that one. But I had and he also played a fellow gang member. It's Parker, a fellow gang member in the one that I was cast as a gang member, but I had full face prosthetics and everything. And I just remember thinking, like, when I read it, I was like, okay, they're casting me to play the mother of a dude that's older than me, like he's older than me. And like, they don't know if I can be a zombie. They don't know if I can, and I was just like thinking in my head, all the logistics. And I was like, that's not my problem to figure out. That's theirs. Like, I'm just going to show up and do whatever they ask. And so it was just an interesting role to take on because one, I got to network with a lot of cool people. I didn't realize when I got on that set just how many people were involved that were like people that I would see again on set over and over again. But also it really just full sent me. Like I had to be okay with like doing like isolated like zombie noises and like running in the woods barefoot, which they didn't tell me to go barefoot, but I did of my own volition. But it just was like a good, I guess, like introduction into being on set as like a person that they care about. Not that they don't care about background, but they don't. And I had to just be like super comfortable with like going crazy. Sorry, that was my alarm.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, we definitely.
Here, let me turn. Should I turn it off so it's not? Can you hear it in the background?
Yeah, but we'll just use it. Let's use it.
Use the alarm.
Yeah.
That's time, folks.
Well, we definitely appreciate you coming on and giving more perspective from just one actor. We definitely love to be able to hear from other actors.
Same.
And we definitely
other crew members too.
And just anybody in general. Yeah. But yes, production crew.
I do at some point want to go more into the psychology stuff and do all that.
Yes.
So we'll have you on for that one as well.
Period slay. Yeah, you say when.
Is there any projects coming up that you want to give a shout out for or anything?
Dude, I'm going to be so for real with you. That alarm in the background is driving me insane.
Yeah.
No, the reason that alarm is on there is because I have a call time because I'm going on set for a short film. But yeah, it's just a small little thing. But yeah, so that's the next project.
Yay.
But
you're gonna kill it. I can't wait.
Slay. Can't wait to see you guys on set.
Handles that you want to put out for people to be able to find you?
At Jackilyn Lund.
Okay.
Like, what do I say?
Okay.
Just my personal.
7.
If you didn't catch earlier, no, I only have one page, and it's just. But I do have a website.
Keep it like that.
Yeah.
Yes, Jackilyn Lund. I feel like it's easier. So,
It is.
anyways, I love you guys.
I love you too.
Talk to you more.
Yes.
Talk to you more soon.
All right, bye.
All right, bye. Thank you guys. Sorry.
Okay.